Hello everyone. Now let's go to the seminar, Introduction to Costing seminar. Okay, so now you've got a few questions here. You've got 5 questions, and let's see how many questions we can do. So let's start with question number 1. Question number 1 asks you to calculate the break-even point, margin of safety, and the target profit. So first of all, you need to look at the information available here in terms of material, labor, variable overhead, production overhead, and sales overhead, and selling price per unit, fixed cost, and target profit, and budgeted sales. So you know what is the formula for a break-even point in units? If you remember, the formula is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Fixed cost equal £68,000, and contribution per unit equal selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. The selling price per unit is here, which is £30, minus the variable cost per unit, including all of these are the variable cost per unit, £24. So 30 minus 24 equals 6. So 68 divided by 6. Let's have a look. Yeah. So that's 68,000 divided by contribution per unit, £6. That gives us 11,333 units almost. That's called a break-even point in units. And remember, what does that mean? This means that the company needs to sell 11,333 units in order to break even. This means no loss, no profit. In terms of margin of safety, okay, for margin of safety, the formula is the difference between the budgeted sales and the break-even point in units. 20,000 units, that's the budgeted sales. If you minus the break-even point in units here, so that goes with 8,667. So margin of safety is the units above the break-even. It's like how many units we sold and we made gain from. In terms of sales are required to achieve target profit, so the formula is fixed cost plus target profit divided by contribution per unit. It's similar exactly the one in break even, but you need to add the target profit. Target profit, let's assume that you have a business and you say next year I'm gonna achieve £5,000 target profit. So the question is how many units you need to sell in order to achieve this £5,000. So you need to follow this formula. The formula is fixed cost 68,000 plus target profit 16,000 divided by contribution per unit £6, as we calculated at the beginning. So as you see, 68,000 plus 16 divided by 6 equal 14,000 units. This means the business needs to sell 14,000 units in order to to achieve target profit of £16,000. So this is question number 1. Hopefully is clear. Let's move to question number 2. Question number 2 talks about the high-low method technique and determine the cost of gas in July if 2,500 units of gas are consumed. So if you remember the high-low method technique, there are steps you need to follow. The first step, you need to calculate the variable cost per unit. So first of all, take the highest level of output and the lowest level of output. If you look at the table, you will see that the highest level of output here would be the 2,800. Is that 2,000? No, sorry, it's 4,000, isn't it? Yeah, 4,000 units. That's the highest level of output, and you need to take the lowest level of output, which is, as you see, it's at 2000. Yeah. So this is the highest level of output and the lowest level of output. So what you need to do, you need to take the difference between them. So the difference 2000 here and the difference here 300 pound. So in this case, what you need to do, you need to calculate the variable cost per unit. The variable cost per unit. How to calculate the variable cost per unit? You calculate the variable cost per unit using, as you see, the cost, yeah, divided by the units. So remember, pound sign always on the top, because a lot of students, a lot of them, not one or two really, they put 2000 divided by 300, but remember, pound sign always on the top. Remember this. So 300 divided by 2000, that's 15 pence. 15 pence. This means the variable cost per unit, the variable cost per unit is 15 pence. So now, once you calculate the variable cost per unit, now you need to calculate the fixed cost. Look, the fixed cost. How to calculate the fixed cost? Very simple way to calculate the fixed cost. In order to calculate the fixed cost, you can take any level of production. Doesn't matter. Let's see, take the lowest, easy. If you look here, the 2000 units here, okay, the 2000 units here equal 350 pound. So the total cost is 350 pound, and this 350 pound is divided into variable cost and fixed cost, as you see. The variable cost, how can I break down this into variable and fixed cost? So the question tells you that the variable cost per unit is 15 pence per what? Per unit. So how many units we have here? We have 2000 units. We have what? We have 2000 units. Okay? If we have 2000 units, this means each unit as a variable cost costs us 15 pence. So 2000 units times 15 pence equals 300 pound. 300 pound. So now we do identify the variable cost total variable cost equal 300 pound. In this case, would you say from 350, if 300 goes to the variable cost, so what's remaining? 50 pound. It is what? It is fixed cost. It is fixed cost. In this case, you take any level of production, you should have the same answer. So as you see, it's 50 pound. Yeah, that's right. It's 50 pound. So as long as you identified the variable cost per unit and the total fixed cost, it's easy now to really just answer the question, which asks you what is the total cost if they consumed 2,500 units in July. So very simple, right? If they consume 2,500 units, this means 2,500 units times variable cost per unit, because it's variable. How many? It depends how many units we produced, and this one you need to add on the top of it the fixed cost, 50 pound, because we did say 50 pound is 50 pound. It's always 50 pound, regardless, because it's fixed cost, and total fixed cost do not change with the production change. So if you add them up together, that's the total cost for July would be 425 pound. 425 pound. Okay. So this is basically the formula on, if you want to do it on Excel or to the work on spreadsheet. So this is the formula. Y for total cost, fixed cost same, doesn't change, and variable cost is 15 pence per unit, and it depends on the units available. Okay, that's question number 2. Easy. Right, okie dokie. Okay, let me see. Yeah, question number 3. Yeah, it's actually the same question number 1. Ask you for break even and margin of safety. I'm not sure if I need to do it. Question number 4, again, they ask you again for break even. So let's pick up one. Okay, let's pick up, for example, question number 3 then. Let's see, question number 3. Okay, right. For question number 3, okay, let me see. Yeah, question number 3, that's fine. Question number 3, if you look here, you've got the selling price per unit, £50, variable production cost £30, variable selling £5, and contribution per medal. So the question does give you the contribution per unit, £15. Easy. Also, the question tells you that the fixed cost including the fixed production overhead, £5 per unit, based on 20,000 medals. So 5 times 20,000, that's £100,000 fixed production cost, and we have fixed selling cost, that's £1. So £1 times 20,000 medals, it's £20,000. So if you combine them together, the total fixed cost would be £120,000. Okay, in this case, if you calculate the break-even point in units, you should be able to do it. £120,000 fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, £6. How much? £15. Let's have a look. Here we go. So, okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, that's 8,000 medals. That's the break-even point. This means Tom needs to sell 8,000 medals in order to break even. Now, the second part here. Okay, Tom is thinking of doubling his production. Okay, to do so, he will have to occupy additional premises at annual rent of £210,000. So he needs to add extra fixed cost, £210,000. So we have so far £120,000 fixed cost, and now we need to add extra £210,000 because he wants to double his production from 20,000 medals to 40,000 medals. Calculate the new break-even point and margin of safety. Right. Okie dokie. That's for break-even point. Very simple, easy. So you need to do the fixed cost, which is 120,000 plus 210,000 divided by contribution per unit, £15. So it's the same the previous one. Yeah. So, but here, what you need to do, you need to add the extra fixed cost, which is the £210,000. So, in order to break even, we need 22,000 medals. 22,000 medals. Okay. Okie dokie. Right. Now, if someone tell me, okay, why we didn't double this? Because production doubled, isn't it? That's why I'm sure that's the question you're asking yourself. Yeah. So we do not double it, double £120,000 because why? Because of fixed cost, and fixed cost is fixed cost. Regardless if he produce more or less, he's still paying £120,000. Okay, remember this, please. Okay. For margin of safety, very simple. Budgeted sales 40,000. Why is 40,000? Because it's doubling his production. Is based on 20,000 units, but now if he doubled, that will be 40,000 units minus the break-even point in units, 20,000. So the margin of safety would be 18,000 units or medals. So this means Tom needs to sell 18,000 18,000 middles to break even, right? So it's very, very simple, very really simple. You shouldn't really you shouldn't get confused really about it really. Right, that's question number 3. Now for question number 4. So what you need to do, question number 4, it's right, it's the same stuff. Yeah, just go through it, answers there. If you found it difficult, let me know. Question number 5, right, question number 5, easy. That gives you the selling price for each teddy bear is £13 per unit. Okay, and the question gives you 3 level of production at 10,000 units, and the cost included is 15,000 units and 20,000 units, and ask you to calculate first the profit or loss at each level of production. In order to calculate the profit or loss at each level of production, what you need to do, very simple, you need to calculate the sales, total sales, which is 10,000 units times £13, that's £130,000, minus all of these costs. You should be able to find the profit or loss. Let's have a look. Here we go. So £130,000. Okay. If you minus all these costs, you should be able to find minus £24,000, and this £24,000 is loss basically. So you need to do it in the same for level 15,000 units and 20,000 units. For question number 2, where is it? Question number 2, they ask you calculate the break-even point in units. Okay. Before we do question number 2, let's do question number 3. Right? For question number 3, they ask you to advise at which level of production should be used. Advise as to which level of production should be used. So if you look at the answers, so you tell them that which level of production would you advise them to use. So of course you advise them to use the 20,000 units. Why? Because this gives the highest profit. And of course that's the case, anything below 14,000 units will give a loss. Why? Because this is a break-even point. We'll come to it in a bit. Now if we calculate the break-even point in units, right? So if you remember the formula is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. Now let's have a look at the fixed cost. Now the question you need to ask yourself, or you ask me I guess, so which level of production you need to pick up? So it doesn't matter really, it doesn't matter. You can pick up any level of production in order to calculate the break-even point. So let's have a look. Now fixed cost, easy, is available here. Look, these are the fixed cost. 56,000 plus 28,000. This is the fixed cost. Okay, divided by contribution per unit. So now we agreed that contribution per unit equal selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. Selling price per unit, it's available as you see. It's here, £13, minus the variable cost per unit, right? So if you look here, you will see that the variable cost, we have material and labor, so 30,000, 40,000, 70,000. If you divide them by 10,000 units in order to find the variable cost per unit, that's £7. That's £7, the variable cost per unit. Here we go. So in this case, here we go, 84,000, that's the fixed cost element, divided by contribution per unit, which is, as I mentioned, 13 selling price per unit minus 3 minus 4. Here we go. That's 14,000 units. That's 14,000 units. 14,000 units. Okay? What does that mean? this means the business needs to sell 14,000 teddy bear in order to break even. And that comes if the business sells anything below 14,000 units. Remember, the business will make a loss, isn't it? If they sell above 14,000 units, will make profit. So now let's go to the part 4 and the last one. Market research suggests that the business might just be able to sell 21,000 teddy bear, but no more. This level of production would require larger premises at an additional rent of £45,000, assuming that 21,000 teddy bears could be sold. Advice Swansea is limited as to whether this would be a good idea. Right. According to the market research, they said the company is able only to sell 21,000 teddy bears. Okay? But they can't sell more. In order to do this, they need to rent additional premises for £45,000 extra. £45,000 extra. So, assuming that 21,000 teddy bears could be sold, okay, let's say, yeah, our target to sell 21,000 teddy bears. Is it worth it or is it not worth it? What do you think, guys? In this case, what we need to do, we need to calculate the new break-even point in units. Why we need to calculate the new break-even point in units? That will confirm if the break-even point will be less than 21,000 teddy bears. It's a good idea, yes. If not, if above the 21,000 teddy bears, it's not a good idea. Let's have a look. So when you calculate the break-even point in units, very simple, the same idea, which is fixed cost available here, same previous one, 84, but here you need to add the extra fixed cost, 45,000. Yeah. So as you see, easy. Yeah, the same break-even point, this one, but here, as you see, we need to add the extra 45,000. So we have now the break-even point in units, 21,500 units, 21,500 teddy bears. This means the company needs to sell 21,500 teddy bears in order to break even point. Yeah, can you imagine? But now, according to the market research saying that the company cannot sell more than 21,000 teddy bears. Right? What does that mean? This means the company will make a loss of 500 units. So, as a management accountant, you would advise the management that do not go ahead with this proposal because this will make a loss for the business. Okay. Right, this all information, extra notes, how we got the numbers. Yeah, that's all I think, isn't it? Yeah, here we go. So, right, okie dokie. Yeah. Okay, that's all for this seminar, introduction costing. So, basic, you should be fine. Go through it, answers there. If you find it challenging, difficult, you didn't get it, just email me and I'll be happy to help as much as I can. Otherwise, take care, guys. All the best. Bye bye.